Welcome in, Bobby.
Hey there. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Hope you're doing well as good. Yeah?
Doing
Well as good.
well.
Sorry, it's a bit
Yeah.
late.
I know
I
what you
hope you're
meant,
doing
yeah.
well as well, man.
And thanks for asking. Bobby, are you at least 18 and are you a believer of some kind of a God?
Yes and yes.
Cool.
So, I'm Christian.
Cool. Okay, so what would be the most compelling evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Well, for me, it would probably be um, the practice of Christianity within individual practice and as in a larger community um, is more beneficial than any other doctrine. So, for
Like
example,
what?
compared to secular nations and secular atheists at an individual level, there's many studies that affirm that Christians have better outcomes for mental health, physical health, income within the same class bracket, if that's the right terminology. Um, the divorce rates are lower. Fertility rates are
Not among
much
Protestants.
higher.
So,
Well, yeah, there's some
Protestant.
argument
So
there,
just
but
so we're clear, Protestant
yes,
Christians have the same divorce rate as non-Christians.
okay, maybe I'd focus more on more. When you say Protestant,
So,
I'm not.
so only the Catholics got
Yeah.
it right.
I'd also argue probably Eastern Orthodoxy, um, and Western Orthodox as well.
Oh, so Christianity only works if you're Orthodox or Catholic.
Sorry, could you repeat that? My video is a bit
Christianity
funny.
only works if you're Orthodox or Catholic.
Well, no, I'd say I'm being a bit broad, but I'm just saying generally speaking, the outcomes, whether you're Christian or secular or atheist, whatever you want to call it, there's you're much more likely to have positive outcomes as a Christian
What do you think a
in an
positive outcome
individual
is?
sense.
Because in other
So
countries that are not Christianized, they live longer. They have a longer life expectancy.
well, I could give you a few. I could give you the two biggest that I believe. So one is divorce rates among couples who have children are much lower,
They're hot.
and
They're actually
it's
lower for Muslims. Muslims have the lowest divorce rate. So should we be
yes,
Muslim?
but I mean I'm comparing no, and I'll tell you why. Because well, can we backpedal to that?
I,
Because I think that's a bit more complicated to address.
I don't think it's
Um,
complicated at all.
I think it's very complicated.
We're honing
Can I at
in.
least make the point,
We're
and
honing.
then I
Yeah,
promise I'll
yeah.
go back to
We're
that.
honing in on one specific attribute, like one specific benefit. It just happens that that
Okay.
specific benefit isn't actually unique to
Well,
Christianity.
I do have a plethora of benefits. I'm what I suspect are the two most easy and most well studies are divorce rates in comparing Christians to secular people
What
or
about
atheist
Muslims?
people, and yeah, okay, I'll get to that, but
But
I just want to focus
when you
on these
compare them
two.
only to atheists, you're not making an argument for your God. You're making an argument for whether or not you should have placebo effects, right? Because
Okay, but I could string in a second
if you're
argument
saying
here.
Christianity is real because
Yes.
Christians get divorced less or Christians have more children, well, listen,
Yeah.
that doesn't work because among the Muslims they get divorced less and they have more children. So that's not a great
Yes,
argument.
but would you prefer to live in a majority Christian country or Muslim country? Because now we're talking about a different context now.
Well, I personally would prefer to live in a majority Christian country versus a majority Muslim country. But of the three options, I'd rather live in a secular country,
Okay,
which is why
so
they're constantly the happiest people on earth.
I don't think they're the most happiest
That
people on
just
earth.
look at the happiness index.
Look at the fertility rate.
So what? We already discussed it. Fertility rate's irrelevant because Muslims have a higher fertility rate, and it only works for Catholic and
But
Orthodox. It doesn't work for
correct.
Protestants.
Yeah,
The majority of Christians in the state are like at least half of them are Protestant.
yeah. But if we're going to talk about the fertility rate, there's one thing
Now
that
these are bad
secularists can't really
arguments.
address. Well, okay, the fertility rate for secularists is declining,
So what?
meaning that if you wanted to put it in simple terms, secularism is dying,
No,
and the only people having children
nah.
are Yes.
That's
Are
not
religious
what that
beings.
means. It's
It is
funny
what it
because
means.
if secular people are actually not having as many children as Christian, it's weird that secularism keeps growing. It's weird that atheism keeps growing. It's almost like it doesn't really matter that much.
I think Christianity is growing, but I'm pretty certain that secularism is declining
Not in America.
in terms of population.
It's declining
Well,
in
you could say in
America.
terms of culture, but not in terms of population.
Well, listen,
So give it a few years.
if the world
There's
population
going to be more.
increase is a meaningful metric, then again the Muslims beat you. They're growing faster.
Yes, but then
Bobby, these are bad arguments. You
you
have
could
to
make
see this.
no, but you okay. But let me make if you're going to tie in Muslims into it, you'll have
Why
to
wouldn't I?
contextualize whether which one would
This
be
this is
better, Christianity or
this is not an
Islam.
argument about just Christianity versus atheism. This is an argument about whether or not your religion is true. You have to compare it to all other options.
Okay, if I want to, let's say this, if I want to make a free and just country, right? So if we look at all the Western countries where you're allowed to sit here and have this sort of a debate, nearly all of them, including the ones that are majoritively secular, which is a lot of the, let's say, Netherlands, Czech Republic,
Mhm.
a lot of the
Yeah, the ones that are
European
actually
countries,
happy.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're all built, their entire ethics and law system was built on English common law or Christian ethics.
False.
And nope, that is not false.
False.
Nope,
Prove it.
definitely not.
Prove it.
What do you mean? You prove it.
You don't even know what Christian ethics are.
Okay, hold on.
What? Name me one.
Would you
Name me
dispute
one.
the fact?
Name one uniquely Christian ethic that you can't find outside of Christianity.
I don't think that you can find out of Christianity.
Are you aware that all of the so-called Christian
bear with
ethics,
me.
the Ten Commandments, so on and so, all that
Yeah.
stuff existed outside of Christianity? Christianity didn't make that shit up.
Yes, correct. But I'm telling you that there is no country that has freedoms that you subscribe. Let's say, hold on.
Japan's not free.
There's no free. Yeah, but their population is dying so much that they need to import foreigners who will have children.
I don't think they're dying.
They are. I mean, you could. Okay, if you disagree with me, I wouldn't mind if you looked at the fertility rates in Japan. They will be
the fertility rates are irrelevant.
Why are they irrelevant?
Because the Muslims are doing it better. You can't just keep pointing to fertility rates as if they matter and then ignore it. Ignore it when they. Bobby, stop. Shut up. Shut up. I'm not finished. Okay, Bobby, stop. You can't appeal to fertility rates and then only compare it to atheists. You have to compare it to all the other options. Either it matters overall or it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay. I'm telling you that the fertility rate is one component of many different positive outcomes that you get out of Christianity as a whole and not secularism. If you want to tie in Islam, you also have to take in what comes with Islam, which is the loss of your freedom.
Then you also have to take in the horrific shit that comes with Christianity. You have to take in the Crusades. You have to take into account that they were burning people at the stake. You have to take into account that they were. You have to take into account that they were literally hunting down and killing Anabaptists.
Right. Can we go through each one of those?
Sure, whatever you want.
What do you think the Crusades were about?
The Crusades were quite seriously an incursion of two different armies. It was the Turkish invasion of the West, and then we responded by invading back into the Holy Land and trying to take back the Holy Land. And the war drug on for so long that the people who went on these wars, some of them were actually pilgrimages, they ran out of things to do. And so they were just terrorizing some of the locals because they had nothing else to do, and they were on poor supplies. A lot of the people that actually went on these marches all the way ran out of supplies halfway and had to pillage in the villages to survive.
Yeah, but your premise that Christianity has got anything to do with that. Those practices, let's say pillaging, rape, etc., those are clearly against Christian ethics.
No, listen, Bobby.
The Crusades were a genuine. Hold on.
And so is having Bobby. So is having children. Right. Jesus says it's better be a eunuch for the sake of the gospel. Matthew 19. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 that you should live as though the end of the world is coming, and you shouldn't have children either. He says it's better to not be married. So if you're saying that it's what's in the Bible, not what you actually do, I agree. The Bible doesn't support giving birth.
Okay. So first of all, my view is that the Crusades were a genuine response to violent Islamic expansion.
That ended
Secondly,
in a
can I finish?
non-response.
Because
It
you gave me
ended
2 points.
it ended
Can I
it ended
respond to
in the
both?
raping and pillaging of people that had nothing to do with it.
Which has nothing to do with Christian ethics.
It doesn't
You can
matter.
have an army.
It doesn't
You can have
matter.
an army that doesn't subscribe
Bobby, it
to
doesn't fucking matter.
your
We're not
doctrine.
talking about Christian ethics. We're talking about the results of Christianity. The results
But
of
what's
Christianity is what
religion
you
got to
brought
do
up,
with it?
not me. You're saying the result of Christianity being the birth rates is superior
Right?
to others, and therefore
No,
we should
I'm
support
saying
Christianity.
there's multiple things. Multiple things.
The birth rate is not a Christian tenet. It is the opposite of what the Bible tells you to do.
But
So
you're
you
taking it
have
out
to
of
pick
context.
one. So Bobby, you have to pick
Taking it
one.
out of context.
No,
I don't have to
I'm not
because
taking it
you're
out of
taking it out of
I'm not
context.
taking it out of context.
Right.
You're taking it out
Give
of
me 30
context.
seconds
So
to respond.
so
Right?
you can't respond while I'm talking.
You're
So
filibustering. You
just shut the fuck up. So you have to pick one. We're either talking about the effects of Christianity or we're talking about the teachings of Christianity. One of the two. You have to pick one. Because if we're talking about the teaching of Christianity, not the effect of Christianity, they're different topics. Do you understand that the effect of Christianity and the teaching of Christianity are two different
okay.
things?
Right. Can you stop muting me and let me respond?
It's a yes or no question. Do you understand that the effect?
It's not a yes or no question.
It's a
Because
yes
you're
or no
taking it out of
question. Do
context.
you understand that the
You're
effect?
taking it out.
Do you understand, yes or no, that the effect of Christianity is different than the teaching of Christianity?
No.
Okay, then you're wrong.
How am I wrong? Because you won't let me
Because
explain that you're taking that out of
because in
context.
your worldview, the
You're
effect
taking it
of
out of
Christianity
context.
is having more children. But Christianity
Right.
teaches you that it's better to not have children because the present
Incorrect.
form of the world is coming to an end. And
Incorrect.
you're wrong. I'm going to read you the
Incorrect.
passages and I'm going to show
Yes,
you
I know what passage you're going
I'm
to
going to
say.
show you to
You're
your
going to say,
face.
it
I'm going
would
to
be
show
better
you
to forsake women.
I'm going to show you to your face that you're wrong. You can cry about it all you want. Matthew 19, the disciples said to him after talking about the law of divorce, right? Saying that you can't divorce unless someone commits adultery, says the disciples said to him, if such is the case of a man and with his wife, it is better not to marry. But he said to them, not everyone can accept this teaching, but only those to whom it is given. For there are eunuchs who have been so from birth, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom. Let anyone accept this who can. So Jesus is saying, let anyone who accept being a eunuch for the gospel accept it. That's exactly what he says. I didn't interpret it wrong. That's just what it says. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he tells you it's better to remain single. It is good for a man not to touch a woman, but because of the cases of sexual, oh, sorry, I scrolled too far. Hold on. I got to decrease my scroll amount. But because of the case of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. The husband should give to his wife what is due her, and likewise the wife to the husband. For wife, and so we get the body, blah, 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 blah. And then he is to the unmarried. Hold on. To the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for them to remain unmarried. He said, it is good for the unmarried to remain unmarried as I am. But if they are not practicing self-control, they should marry. For it is better to marry than to be a flame of passion. So, or a flame with passion. So Paul is saying the optimal scenario is to remain single for the sake of the gospel as I am. That's what he's saying. That's the optimal thing. Why would he say something like that? Well, he tells you why he would say something like that later on in the same chapter. To the unmarried widows, he talks about living, even if you're married, as though you're not married. It says, those who deal with the world as though those who deal with the world as though they had no dealings with it. That's the end of the diatribe of behave as though you're not married. Behave as though you're not in business. For the present form of this world is passing away. He's saying the reason why, even if you're married, you should live as though you're not married, meaning not having children. If you're not married, don't get married. Why would he say this? because the present form of the world is passing away. That's the justification for his teaching. Do you see now?
Right. Can you give me 30 seconds to respond to all of that without muting me?
Sure.
Right. Okay. Within context, what it's telling you is within the confines of marriage, where lust isn't the epitome of your relationship, only in that case it's better to stay unmarried because of sexual ethics which are ingrained in
Quote
Christianity.
that for me. Quote the verse where it says that.
That it was part of what you said.
No, it wasn't.
Repeat what you said about.
Quote the verse for me. Open your Bible. Quote the verse where it says that.
Well, I don't have the Bible in front of me, but
Yeah, you Christians never come prepared.
I could give you. Well, I could give you things that conflict with that, right?
To
So
the
be
unmarried
fruitful and
and the
multiply,
widows, I say it is
right?
good for them to remain unmarried. Why is it good for the unmarried to stay unmarried?
Because within the confines of marriage, you should have children because marriage is a sacred
Wrong
covenant.
again. He said,
Nope.
to
It
the
is.
unmarried and the widows, I say it's good to remain unmarried. Why is it good to remain unmarried?
Because in case if it opens you to the proclivity of sin. So, for example, people
No,
get married
again,
for lustful
that's
reasons.
wrong. He's saying
No,
that if
it's
you
true.
if you are burning in lust, then you can get married. He's not talking about that right now. He's saying to people in general, if you're unmarried, it is better,
Right.
it is good to remain unmarried. Why would it be good to remain unmarried?
Could be many reasons, but I
Well,
think
this one,
primary
what would be
reason is
one reason why Paul would say it's good to stay unmarried?
if you are going to enter the confines of a marriage for purely for sexual.
We're not
mis-
talking about entering marriage. We're talking about staying
to remain
unmarried.
unmarried.
Why is it
Yes,
good to remain
right.
unmarried?
It would be good to remain unmarried if you could not handle a marriage, i.e., the sin
He didn't
because
say
you were
that.
married. But I think it's pretty obvious because
I don't think it
the Bible's
is.
clear. Can you just give me a second to respond? The Bible's clear that humans should be fruitful and multiply.
Wrong.
No, it's one of the first
The
passages.
planet was unpopulated, Bobby. There was no fucking humans on the planet. You had to
Yes,
be
and what did
fruitful.
God say to Adam and Eve?
You had to be fruitful and multiply because there was nobody. It was the beginning. Jesus is at the end now, and Jesus is giving you a different commandment. The world is not beginning now, the world is ending now. And because the
Okay,
world is ending now, there's
right.
no point in having children.
Okay. So either me or you have got it wrong here,
You got it
but
wrong, Bobby. Easy.
okay. So every other Christian on earth must also have it wrong. You must have the correct interpretation
No.
because there's plenty of priests that
Scholars
get
agree
married.
with me at what these
Oh,
passages
really?
mean. The problem is Christians.
Do the priests and the martyrs
The
agree with you?
the problem is that people like you, Bobby, haven't read the book. You haven't done it. The other Christians haven't done it. Christians will do anything other than read this book. They'll go to church services. They'll pray. They'll crawl on their hands and their knees. People in the Philippines are crucifying each other. They'll do anything other than read this book, which is why that's all I do. All I do is read this fucking book, and it demolishes every dumb argument you people have, every single one.
Yeah, I think you read it, but you don't really take it in properly
Then
because if you look
show
at the
me in the
effects,
passage where it doesn't
right?
say what I said it said. Because
Well,
I read it too.
whatever.
Paul
I'll
said the
concede that.
present form of
Okay,
the
I'll
world is
concede that.
passing away.
Right, I'll concede that to you. But even if that's the case, a Christian nation is always superior to any other nation.
How could you possibly know that?
Well,
So,
firstly, because we've done
okay,
thousands of
so in the
studies
middle of the
on the
medieval
outcomes of
period, when the Christians were hunting each other down, literally drowning each other in rivers, calling it the third baptism, would it be better to be in medieval France than it would have been to be in Japan?
Okay, so that would actually be heretical. You cannot do
It
that.
doesn't matter if it's heretical. We're talking about being in a Christian nation. Focus up, Bobby. In a Christian nation, in medieval
Can I draw a
France, in
parallel for
medieval
you?
Spain,
Right.
if you were baptizing adults, they would hunt you down and they would drown you in the river. Sometimes they would burn you at the stake and then they would drown you in a river. Would it be better to live in that country, or would it be better, to live in Russia?
Right. Give me 10 seconds to respond here without interrupting. Okay. under that same argument, you could make the case as a secularist that eugenics is a good mantra to live. But would that be
I'm not
secular?
making a
Because those
secular
are secular
argument. I'm
values?
making an argument about Christianity, and you're
Yeah, but
running a.
that's what you're doing.
I'm not
No,
at
but that's what
all,
you're doing.
Bobby.
You're telling me,
Bobby. I'm not doing that at all. You're pivoting hard and fucking fast because you can't handle what I'm saying. Your point was that it's better to live in a Christian nation. I'm giving you an example, or I don't think that's the case. Medieval Europe was a shit show. They would drown you in the river for practicing something that wasn't sanctioned by the church. If you baptize an adult, they would dunk you in the river and hold you there until you drowned to death. Is it better to live there than to live in medieval Russia? Which one?
right? Are Christians doing that today?
I didn't
And is
ask
that
about
part of
today.
Christian ethics?
Bobby, I don't know why you can't focus. I asked
Then
you,
wait,
Bobby, I asked you about medieval Europe, specifically France and Spain. When they were drowning people in the river for baptizing each other, would it be better to live there than to live in another country? Fuck, say like being a Native American in America. What would be better?
oh, probably still living in medieval Europe.
Oh, so
because Native
you'd rather
Americans were
live in the
scalping
country
each
where they're
other.
drowning people in the river then?
I would prefer. Well, I think you're conflating your argument because
I'm
the
not
Native
conflating.
Americans were raping, pillaging, and scalping each other.
Oh,
Whereas your argument,
well,
right? Your
Bobby,
argument goes against Christian ethics.
Bobby,
It's
you have literally no
Yeah.
idea what percentage of Native Americans were engaging in that type of behavior.
Well, we found plenty of skulls with holes in them.
Those are stories told about Native Americans, not
No,
stories
except
from Native
they
Americans.
were warring.
You've conveniently actually ignored the entire point, which is
I
that
didn't.
in medieval Europe, it was horrific, and there's 1,000 other places you could have been that were
Right.
better.
Gee, it was horrific then. If only they'd actually followed Christian ethics.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about living in a Christian country.
Doesn't matter?
Bobby,
What?
Bobby, just pay fucking attention.
Right. I am paying attention.
Bobby,
You're not paying attention.
I'm addressing your argument. Your argument was it's better to live in a Christian country. Has nothing to do with what the Bible teaches. No one said it's better to live in a Bible-based country where people does what's only in the Bible. No one said that. You said it's better to live in a Christian country. And I said, we had Christian countries. Here's what happened. There clearly were better places to live rather than these Christian countries. Do you understand that I'm addressing your argument?
Right.
Okay. So in medieval Europe, do you think there were better places to live?
Possibly. Let's take it to the modern day.
There you go. Why? Why does it matter?
Because the modern day has proven that Christianity is the superior.
It certainly has not.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 points. See if you can.
Bobby, I don't know if you've been following for long enough, but the fact of the matter is, what we're experiencing in the modern age is a movement not from Christianity. It's a movement from the Enlightenment era. These are humanist ideas. When Christianity ruled, when we had a theocracy, it was horrific. When Christianity was in charge of making all the laws, things were not good. We had the seculars have to come in and change things. The Christians were justifying slavery.
Okay, so if it's true that secularism is heading towards, let's say, some sort of progression, why are you
secularism doesn't have a progression?
Why do you need to replace
secularism doesn't have a progression
with religious immigrants?
We don't.
Who will have religious children? Yes,
we don't.
You do,
No, we don't.
Birth rates
no, we don't.
Plummeting.
Birth rates has nothing to do with Christianity. We already covered it.
I don't care. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so do we have to? So then our Protestants
have legs to stand
Bobby, should we get rid of the Protestants then?
No, because
Protestants have the same problem as secularists.
How are you going to flourish without children?
Bobby, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. We all know your bad talking points. We've already heard them. You're not the first one. Protestants have the same problem. They're just barely above secularism in birth rates. They're not replacing themselves either. The Protestant Christians aren't having enough kids to replace themselves, and they're getting divorced at the same rate as the secular world, which means Protestant Christians are just as bad as seculars. Do you understand why your argument fails?
Did I say that I'm defending Protestants?
But
No.
the majority of Christians
but-
are Protestant, Bobby.
Yes, but I'm telling you, the religious ones who are practicing their religion traditionally are not.
No, they wouldn't be. If you're practicing Christianity traditionally, you wouldn't be
Yes.
having children. Even if you just
Really?
read the writings of
So
the early
all of
church.
them must have it wrong, right?
Yeah, they fucking do because they don't read the Bible just like you, which is why early Christianity advocated over and over and over again for celibacy. All the earliest Christian doctrines told you not to get married, not to have kids. It was a celibacy that was the supreme doctrine. It wasn't until they figured out that this death cult was not ending soon, Jesus wasn't coming back soon, that they changed their tune and decided to have kids again. All right. Bobby, you're not equipped for this conversation, and you're not capable of having an adult conversation, and you don't see how bad your talking points are. I'm going to move on to another guest who's capable of having an actual conversation. Good luck on your bad talking points.